Mike Cap to begin the presentation. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Kim. So Alex and I will be going back and forth in this presentation, but I'll kick it off here with the introductions. And then going through today's agenda, we'll be covering planning, execution, and efficiency in that order, and then covering any questions that people may have. So Alex, let's go to the next slide. Okay, I'm covering the POSDATA introduction. And Alex, I bet you don't know that POSDATA has been in business for almost 50 years. We started in 1973. The main business of POSDATA is we're a value-added integrator of mobility, barcoding, and RFID solutions. We focus on manufacturing, distribution, and logistics companies. And we deliver our solutions through our professional services team and partnerships with software providers like ShipTrack and leading hardware manufacturers like Honeywell. And we partner with ShipTrack for specifically route management and delivery solutions. Next slide. Okay, and what is POSDATA's role in these projects? And basically, we're the project manager. We would understand customers' logistics requirements and recommend the most compelling solutions. We would coordinate the software demonstrations and manage proposals and the implementation process. And of course, we would provide any hardware that's required or supplies like barcode printers, labels, mobile computers or scanners, and the technical support that goes with that. And in cases where it makes sense, we would also provide mobile device management software. If you have, say, more than 10 mobile devices, you could definitely benefit from mobile device management software, especially in these times where you want to have contactless operation or interaction with the device as much as possible. Next slide. So now I'm going to turn it over to Alex Gregory, and he's from ShipTrack, and he will cover the next part of the presentation. Alex?
Thank you, Mike. Name is Alex. I know the last name might be a little difficult to pronunciate, so just Alex will do. I work with ShipTrack. We say that ShipTrack is the world's most innovative and scalable logistic management platform. It is a cloud-based service that is easily to configure and fit to any workflow and offers an intuitive and ergonomic interface that your workforce will be able to adopt fairly quickly and easily. ShipTrack has been around for 7 years, although I kind of feel that I've been saying that for a couple of years now. So it's probably been, yeah, we've probably been around a little longer than that, but we've been around for 7 years. We were spun off of another company about 2 years ago. But it's a well-established and robust solution that's been around for quite a long time. So as you can see, we do up to 2 million transactions per year. We are now joined with Descartes. It says that we have over 1,500 employees, but I think it's more around 1,600 now. We can manage and handle 2.4 billion scan events per year. Right now, we have 700 different features on ShipTrack. So there's a lot of features that are available where we can really customize the environment for our different clients. And we also have obviously a global presence where we have clients in India, Europe, South America, and obviously Canada and the US. So what we want to talk about today is how we can empower your logistics business. So we, ShipTrack, live and breathe and work in the field every day, and especially with the last mile delivery, right? So what we want to do today is share with you tidbits and best practices of the industry, and things that can help you with your last mile delivery business. Things like planning your routes better, so optimizing your routes, sequencing or optimizing your different routes, managing your exceptions, anything that might go wrong or that might go bump in the night during the execution of your plan or workflow. Give you tips on how we can better manage your drivers' communications with them, make sure that when things go sideways, you're efficient in dealing with those. And obviously, we also want to talk about how we can leverage your fleet, that big investment that you've made with your vehicles, your resources. We want to make sure that you're getting 100% of that, or 100% efficiency of that big investment that you've made. And lastly, we are going to talk about making data-driven decisions with factual data. Obviously, the more data you have, the better the decision that you're going to be able to make. So we're going to go over basically some of the best practices over the course of this webinar. So, and the way that we're going to do that is that we discovered a kind of like an equation. So it all comes down to a simple equation that seems pretty simple, or mathematical formula for success, which is basically, if you're able to have the proper planning and good execution, then you will be efficient. So the efficiency will be there. It seems like a very, very, very simple equation, but it's fairly complex to have proper planning, right? It's fairly complex to have proper execution for you to be 100% efficient. So that's basically what we're going to do throughout this presentation here. So there is a lot of ways that we've seen. I've been around for a little while, so I've seen a lot of companies doing different routing or doing routing differently. So there's a lot of ways that you can plan your routes. What we see most are the different routing ways that you see right now on the screen, which is basically, we can start with zones. What we do with zones, or what we hear with zones, is that the owners of the business, they know their business well, right? They know what works, they know what doesn't work. They would establish different routes with different zones that are pre-established already, that will require more or less attention. So the drivers are usually knowledgeable of these zones, of the different zones, and will go to specific locations occasionally. So the drivers will cover a known area. For example, we have postal services that will use these zones. So all of the mail people will deliver the mail to specific zones, so they know where to go. They know it's going to be house to house, and they have to cover a specific zone for the day. So it might be a process that is well known, pre-established, and usually the companies are fairly comfortable with that routing and those zones. What we also see is routing done through drivers. So let's say we have a driver that's been doing the same route for about 15 years, right? So they're very, very comfortable with that route. So they're very efficient for routine businesses with the subscribers, for example. I don't know if it's like that everywhere, but here in Canada, ShipTrack is obviously a Canadian company. We still have milkmen that will deliver milk to specific houses. So that's an efficient way to plan your route for, like a milkman, for example, which they have subscribers. The milkman knows where to go. He's been doing that route forever. He knows exactly where to go, and we also see that type of planning in delivery for grains, for example, for different farms, which the driver is comfortable with his route. The other thing that we see a lot, especially lately with all that COVID-19 sample tracking, is the pre-established routes. So this is where we have daily repeatable jobs, repeatable pickup location, repeatable delivery location. The driver might change. So that's the big difference between the driver routing and the pre-established route. So the driver might not always be the same, but the stops daily or weekly are always going to be the same. So the volume will obviously mostly stay the same. The routes will stay the same. It's also applicable, for example, for a newspaper route, right? So the route stays the same, might not be always the same person that's delivering the newspaper, but the route will stay the same. Or for COVID-19 sample tracking, like I was saying, the drivers will go pick up the samples or deliver the sample at specific known locations every day at 2 o'clock it needs to be at this hospital, for example, then go to another hospital at 3 o'clock, and so on and so on and so on. So those are pre-established routes. The other way that we can organize a route, and now you can start to see that some of them might mix together, right? So we might have zone deliveries that are also entangled in service types. So what are service types is that we divide the route in different services that the companies offer, so that you might offer. So let's say a route will require a flatbed or temperature controlled truck, or a route is going to be specific only to express deliveries to make sure that everything is done quickly and efficiently. So it's a great way to plan, but it's a harder way to be efficient in your deliveries due to the fact that you have reduced capacity to commingle. And what I mean by that is that if I require a flatbed to do an express delivery, then it's going to be harder for me to manage that. It's going to be harder for me to establish my route. So do I put that on the flatbed, or do I put that in the express route? If I need to have, for example, an express delivery that's going to be on a driver's route or is in a specific zone, then it's starting to commingle with the other routing system, which is going to be per zone. So efficient in dividing the different services that you might offer. A little harder to be really 100% efficient in that, because you're really segregating the different services that you offer. Another way that we see a lot, obviously, is through zip codes. So commonly used by courier companies, it basically delimits the jobs for sections for each driver. So everything between zip code X and zip code Y would be delivered to a specific route. It's not perfect. It's one of the best methods out there, but it's not perfect. It does have limitation in load balancing. For example, if I have a driver that has 150 job in his zip zone, but then I have another driver who has 50, now my load balancing is not really fair. I have a driver that's going to be delivering 100 more jobs for this single day, right? So that's really not really the efficient way to go. So what do I do to make sure that using the zip code way of routing, I become efficient? So commingling, again, might be an issue with the service types or the client for this one. Density might be also an issue. So let's say we have 500 job in a very, very small zip zone, and we have 500 jobs to do in a very large zip zone. Obviously, in the larger zip zone, I'm going to require more drivers to be able to deliver all of those jobs. So how do I manage that? How do I plan that? So that's what we're going to go through a little later on. And then there's obviously also the example of creating clusters for higher density jobs. A single zip code could have, again, 500 jobs, but if I need 5, 6, 10 drivers to be able to deliver all of these jobs, how do I make sure that these things or these deliveries inside of that cluster are delivered efficiently, and I'm not losing any time here? So however you basically plan your route, you will want to save on mileage, you will want to save on time, you will want to avoid roadblocks to be faster, and you will be more efficient if you're able to do that, and you will be able to deliver more. So that's the whole purpose of this. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is, depending on the complexity, you might need to have basically a tool or an automated tool for that. So what you see on the screen right now is an example of what we could do. What you see obviously is a bunch of different deliveries on the map here. So you have different routes that are identified by different colors, and then you have sequence number or delivery numbers inside of those different routes. So what you need is a tool that would be able to take the multiple variables of your deliveries into consideration to make sure that your deliveries are done efficiently. So an advanced automated optimizer like this tool that you're seeing on the screen would make sure of it. So I was talking about the service types a little earlier on. So I don't know if you're able to see, but on the map that you see on the computer there, you have a purple line. Right, and you can see that purple line kind of crosses the red route a little bit all over the place. And the reason why it was done like that is because obviously this route is not only optimized per mileage, but it also has specific segregations or specifications attached to it, which for example could be a refrigerated truck here. So that's why it doesn't mix with the red route. Obviously, if I would cluster all of them together by zip code, then you would have nice little clusters, but then again, I would not be able to pick up or deliver with a refrigerated truck in there. So as you can see, everything is segregated into different routes, taking under consideration your service types, consideration your zip code, consideration of your cluster, so all of the things, or the route, the different ways that you can plan a route. So obviously this is something that's really, really, really hard to do by hand. And this is why we use a tool like this one for a continuous optimizer to make sure that all of the routes are done efficiently and optimized for delivery. I'd like to ask you if you have questions right now, but I know you can't talk, so that's one of the things I usually do, to ask questions. So depending on the volume and the complexity that you might need, or you might need a tool for, it makes sense to have that tool to make sure that everything is planned properly. So you need, sorry about that. So once you have what I meant to say, once you have basically your different routes or your different clusters that are identified, either with a number, a driver name, etc., you will want to optimize or sequence those stops. So as you can see, we're starting to talk about sequencing here. So we know what our routes will be. We know what the jobs will be for that specific route, but we want to make sure that now that we have the jobs or the stops for this route, we need to do a second layer of optimization. So the routes are optimized, but where do I go first, right? So you want to make sure that the stops are properly sequenced so you can save on mileage, save on time, which translates to higher deliveries per day, which also transfers to efficiency, obviously. So basically, you want to know who's going where and when. The goal here is to give you, the owner of the company, and your customer better visibility about what's going on. When is my package or the packages are going to be delivered? So better ETA or stronger ETA. Reduce incoming customer calls. If your customer knows that the package will arrive Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, obviously they're not going to call to know where's my package, right? And that question of where's my package is not really something that a customer really wants to know. Like they don't need to know where the package is. What they want to know is, when am I going to receive it? And that's something that having a tool with an optimizer for the route and a proper sequencing of the stops can bring you. So what that does is that obviously it reduces, not only does it reduce your incoming customer calls, but it will also bring you better customer retention. So this is basically an example of, or an illustration of, what sequencing would look like on a route. Obviously this is done with a very simplified image, but it gives you a good idea of what it would do if you would have 200 or 250 stops for a single route, right? So we've basically just done that with a route that has 5 stops. And as you can see, the before and the after is very, very different, just making sure that everything is sequenced properly and that you're able to deliver faster and be more efficient on a specific route. So again, reducing mileage. So basically, rigidity will kill a workflow, right? So if I have my route that is already optimized, I get all of my job, I don't sequence my job because that's what was given to me, and then I do my routes. As you can see on the previous slide, you might lose efficiency there. So rigidity, if you're not able to flex your routes, flex your pickups, flex your delivery, will absolutely kill a workflow. If you can't adjust, if you can't make changes to your workflow or to your deliveries and pickup, you can be basically dead in the water. Once everything is sequenced, let's say we sequence everything in a cluster, you want to be able to do load balancing. Now what is load balancing exactly? So it refers to the process of distributing a set of tasks or job in that situation over a set of resources with the aim of making the overall process more efficient, right? So basically, this is what basically load balancing is. And I was talking a little earlier about if a driver has 150 job and the other driver has 50 job within his route. So you still want to have that flexibility to be able to transfer jobs from one driver to another driver. So you want to take 50 job from the driver that has 150 jobs and give them to the other driver who has 50 jobs. So they're about at 100 jobs. But once that's done, you want to be able to resequence all of your stops to make sure that everything is done efficiently. So the routing tool will give you the best routes, but then again, the sequencing tool will give you the best sequence for that route. And then after that, you can do your load balancing to make sure that you can resequence and be really, really more efficient that way. So what you want to be able to do is flex your routes, flex your pickups, flex your deliveries according to different variables again. So let's say there's traffic, and then you want to also take into consideration distances travel, and then you want to say, okay, well, I know that in this specific route there's going to be a lot of construction, so I know that my driver is not going to be able to deliver as many parcels in a day. So that's those things are taken into consideration when we do the route optimization and the sequencing of the different routes. So also there's streets exceptions. So for example, if there's no left turn, limitations on bridge, limitations under viaducts, and etc. So you don't want to have your driver take a decision to go at a specific location and not use the route optimization to know where to drive, end up on a bridge where the truck can only be 5 ton heavy and he's 6 ton heavy. So right, so what does the driver do in that situation? Driver will turn around, do a detour, and so now again you're doing a detour, so you're not saving on time. Everything, the delivery or the pickup will take longer. So we take all of these road exceptions under consideration when we do the optimization and when we do the sequencing. Right now, what you see on the screen is basically what we call a double-ended job. So obviously you want to also take into consideration if you have pickups and deliveries to do, we want to make sure that everything is sequenced properly. So let's say that we have the pickup 1 to do first and then pickup 2 to do first, then we drop off the pickup 1 that we did, and then we picked up a third one, and then we drop off. So everything needs basically to be sequenced properly so we're more efficient. So I think that slide is pretty self-explanatory, but it's just to, again, to show that we need to make sure that not only the route is optimized, but everything is sequenced properly so we can save on mileage and save on time. So again, you have another slide here, which shows 2 different routes without being properly sequenced, right? So we have the black route and we have the blue route. Once we sequence everything and we optimize everything, as you can see in the after picture, we can drive density a little more and reduce mileage. It makes a lot more sense for the driver to be doing the stops 1, 2, 3, 4 on the right side of the screen than it is to do 1, 2, 3, 4 on the left side of the screen, obviously. And this is basically what the ShipTrack route optimization and sequencing tool would do. So we talked a little bit about load balancing, giving you the opportunities to flex your routes, flex your deliveries, flex your pickup. But what happens when something goes bump in the night, right? So you can plan as well as you want. The minute that your drivers are going to leave to go on their route, things will start to go sideways. It's going to happen. There's no way around it, right? So there's going to be traffic, there's going to be accidents, there's going to be things that get broken in the truck. So how do you manage those exceptions will greatly affect how many deliveries you and your drivers can handle in a day. So how do you manage those exceptions? So let me ask Mike. So right now on the field, so you have quite a bit of experience. So
yeah,
let's say a driver gets to a specific location and the building is boarded up. So what do you usually see right now? What do the drivers do? What do the companies do? What do the dispatchers do? So what happens right now?
Yeah, I think the driver's going to get on his phone and either phone or text the dispatcher to ask what to do. And, he's waiting while he gets an answer.
Correct. The other thing that we might see is that the driver is going to get to the building and the driver is going to say, well, I can't get in. It's boarded up. I'll put the packages back in the truck and I'll just leave. So right there, if you do that, you missed a delivery. So you're not being as efficient. And like Mike said, if you get on the phone, you start talking with the dispatcher, you're wasting people's time, you're wasting resources, and you're missing deliveries, right? So the driver might just pick up the package and bring it to the warehouse or sorting facility. Then what? Then what do you do? So I bring it back to the sorting facility. It's back at the sorting facility. Then what do I do? So I need to reprocess the package, find the error, correct the error, put it on another route, sequence that route, put it on the truck, make sure it's going to be delivered, and you're not even entirely sure if that's going to work, right? And the other one is if I spend some time with the dispatcher over the phone, well, we just talked about it, I'm going to be wasting a lot of people's time and resources. So we're trying to see that and do that a little differently. So we're trying to be a little more innovative in that regards. So there's two ways that we want to do that. So the first thing that we usually ask for the drivers to do is scan the package, just like if he was delivering the parcel. So scan the package, put it as an exception. Automatically, the dispatcher will receive a notification saying that this parcel is an exception, there's a problem in it, and the driver has identified what the problem is. So let's say it says building boarded up, can't deliver. Dispatcher will automatically receive that information, will automatically receive the information of the address, the phone number, the email address, the package information regarding that specific delivery, and will be able to correct the error on the spot. So it doesn't need to call the driver, the driver doesn't need to call the dispatcher. As soon as the driver identifies that package as being an exception and why, the dispatcher has all the information and can start looking it up. Now the driver has two options there. So either that he waits for the dispatcher to give him the information and actually deliver it. So let's say the dispatcher receives the message or the scan exception event and says, oh no, it's not supposed to be 67 Fake Street, it's supposed to be 69 Fake Street. That was an error, it was wrongly inputted. So now he can correct the error directly on the parcel, reassign the job to the driver, and the driver will get the update directly on the device and will be able to deliver it to the 69th or to the correct address. It's either that or the driver can say, I have an exception. So same thing as the first step. So scans it, say this is an exception, puts the parcel back in the truck, goes on his way and continues delivering the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 packages while the dispatcher looks up what the issue is, corrects it, and once the dispatcher corrects the error, takes the job, puts it back in the driver's load or puts it back in the driver's route, and then the driver will eventually get to that job again and will be able to efficiently deliver the parcel. Now, what that does is that instead of waiting on the phone for the dispatcher while the dispatcher looks up for the information, looks up the information regarding the parcel, the address, gives gives a call to the person who's supposed to be receiving the package to know what the correct address is. So the driver can either continue on his way and deliver 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 packages, so being a lot more efficient, or if the dispatcher has the answer right away, can give the answer right away to the driver delivers it, and the driver goes back on his way. So as you can see, it's a lot more efficient that way than just basically waiting on the dispatcher to give you the information. So all of a sudden you can have completed one more delivery. You've done that very quickly, very efficiently, and you've done it without any phone calls, without any text messages, consuming a lot less time. And you can even complete 2, 3, 4, 5 deliveries while you wait for the information to be corrected. So how you manage or how you handle your exceptions is one of the key things to an efficient execution of your plan. right? The root of the success of any company that are delivering parcels is one, planning correctly. Yes, you can do efficient planning, but also managing those exceptions. You want to be able to manage those exceptions. So by reducing delay. So let's say you have a company has 10 exceptions in a day. That would take normally 5 minutes to resolve. That's 50 minutes. That's 50 minutes out of the driver's day to resolve an issue for one parcel. So how many deliveries can you do in that time? You can do easily 2, 3, 4 even deliveries, or even more during that 50 minutes, right? So if you're doing 100 stops and you have 10 exceptions that takes you 1 minute to resolve, that's only 10 minutes, and you were able to deliver a lot more. So that's 1 or 2 stops in a day. So as you can see, there's a huge difference. And over a larger fleet, the impact on the ROI can be incredible, right? So another example would be, what if the driver, so we talked about that a little earlier on, what if 2 drivers each had 100 stops in a day? And one of the driver is stuck in heavy traffic most of the day and is unable to deliver some of the parcels. So let's say that one driver is done his jobs or his 100 stops by 3 p.m. and the other one, due to the fact that he was stuck in traffic, still has 20, 30 stops to do. Right now, what do? Most of the companies will say, well, driver X, I know you're behind, but you have to do your 20, 30 stops, or, well, you have to stop delivering by 5 p.m., so we'll complete those stops tomorrow. Now, that's not being very, very efficient, but with the flexibility that ShipTrack can bring you, basically, what you can do is tell the driver that's done with his job and say, hey, listen, we have driver X here. He still has 20, 30 stops. Can you meet up with him? We'll flex your routes. We'll exchange packages. So he'll have 10 to do. You'll have 10 to do. We can complete all of the stops by end of the day today, and everything's going to be done. So again, being a lot more efficient that way, right? So seeing how that ability to flex your route will make you more efficient as you transfer jobs to one driver to another, will obviously save you a lot of time, and you're going to be a lot more efficient. Speaking of how you're going to communicate with your drivers to tell them, hey, go meet driver X at this specific location. Mike, what do you see in the business right now, or the industry? How are exceptions being managed communication-wise with drivers? What do you usually see?
Well, I see, phone and text, voice and text.
Yeah, phone and text is actually what we also see mostly, right? So resolving an issue by phone and text takes time. Now, what you see on the screen right now is basically what you would see in ShipTrack. So resolving that issue regarding any job with only one click of the button, right? So you have in the middle job, in the middle section, so you have 3 rows there, and you have in the middle section, you have different jobs. And on the right side, what you see is on-road exception, right? So this job was identified as an on-road exception, and it was received by the dispatcher. So what you can see there, as you can see, there's a status there, the reason why it was an exception. So right now, this is just saying that it was refused. It has information regarding the job. It has the phone number. It has the address. You can even have the email address in there. So you have details regarding this job, which is an exception. So giving the dispatcher the tool to be able to resolve that issue without having the driver to text the dispatcher, without having the dispatcher text the driver back. It's just a matter of resolving this issue. So I know I have an issue. It's identified already on the on-road exception. I correct it. I assign it back to the driver, and then the driver is on his way. So we're trying basically to make things simpler, right? So the driver can scan the exception, choose the reason for the exception, for example, wrong address, and then correct it, and then go back on his way. So speaking of devices, I've been talking a lot about scanning and providing an update. And so Mike, you can tell us a little bit more about the different options for hardware that the different companies have, right?
Yeah, go ahead and put up that next slide. Yeah, very briefly, mainly the discussion comes down to rugged versus consumer grade phones. And really, I found that there's just mainly three areas that really should come into consideration on this. One is the environment. If the drivers will drop these devices, and if they're using consumer phones, you're going to have a higher failure rate or breakage rate. And it really comes down to how good are your drivers at not dropping and protecting these devices. The next thing is scanning. If you're scanning with a consumer phone, you know you have to take a couple seconds to focus using the regular camera versus an instantaneous scan if you're using a dedicated scan imager within a commercial device. And the last thing is service life. The major manufacturers now, like Honeywell, are committing to a certain future to be able to support the device through a certain future Android release or for X number of years. And so you have a commitment there that you'll be able to continue with a single device and have support for a certain period of time, where you might not have that, might not know what's going to happen with the consumer devices out there. And the other good news is that in order to be more competitive consumer grade phones, these commercial manufacturers like Honeywell have reduced their prices for rugged devices. In fact, they have degrees of ruggedness now, with the ultra rugged being the most expensive, but you now have a greater flexibility and greater range of pricing than before. And all those things can be considered in a life cycle cost when it comes down to calculating total cost of ownership. And you may find that a rugged device is actually the lowest cost in the longer term. And so I just wanted to throw those things out, and because that question comes up continuously. So back to you, Alex.
Thank you, Mike. And earlier we talked about, I'm going to come back to my original ideas. We also want to be able to, we talked about leveraging your fleet, right? So how do you leverage that investment that you've made? So how do you, for example, leverage a mixed environment? So commingling with different clients. Let's give the example of Amazon, Wayfair, Walmart, right? So Amazon will manage will deliver with multiple companies or DSPs, but these DSPs don't necessarily deliver exclusively for Amazon, but Amazon have their own solution to deliver parcel, but that smaller DSP that delivers for Amazon might also have other clients that he needs to provide visibility to or tracking to, and wants to plan and optimize and sequence. So what do you do in a situation like that? Well, what you want to do basically is commingle both of the environment through integration. So you want to have all of your Amazon job in one, and you want to have your other clients in the same environment. So it's basically one solution to rule them all. You want to be able to have all of the information, have all of the visibility in one platform, and not having to either pay for two different platforms. So you don't want to have to pay for two different platforms. You want to have one platform where you have all the information, all your routing done, all of your sequencing done, all of your visibility with drivers, job, locations. Obviously, we provide location through a mapping system where you would be able to see in real time where your drivers are on the road. So you want to be able to commingle some of the environments and some of your clients. You can also, in some situation, use third-party couriers, right, or carriers, giving you more elasticity if your volume goes up without losing visibility. So those third-party companies could simply download the application on their device, and then they would log into your environment, receive their jobs for the day, go at the pickup location and delivery location. So you don't lose a beat because you're basically using that third-party company as if they were your own company. You have visibility over what they're doing. You have visibility on where they are. So it really provides you with the elasticity, especially this time of year. I know it's a peak season for most companies with the holidays just around the corner. I know that the volumes are increasing pretty, especially this year for some reason. I don't know why, COVID-19. So you want to be able to have that elasticity to hire third-party companies to deliver for you without losing your brand, without having to look for different parcels or packages too, right? So by enabling and optimizing your routes, sequencing your stops, giving the tools to manage your exceptions and your drivers, you can then do more deliveries per driver and significantly, again, improve your IOIs. So what you get from that when you leverage your fleet there and do more deliveries per driver and and deliver faster is that you get more driver retention, especially when we're talking about Amazon DSPs. The drivers are being paid per delivery. So if the drivers are able to deliver 250 parcels a day instead of 190, due to the fact that everything is not only planned correctly, optimized correctly, and everything is sequenced correctly, and the exceptions are being managed quickly, well, your drivers will want to stay because they're actually able to make more money. Your clients are obviously going to be able to are going to want to stay also because they're going to be very satisfied with the services that you're providing. So you'll have better client retention. Clients are going to be happier, and obviously, if everything is done in real time, like I was saying, you're going to obviously be able to invoice a lot quicker also. So get your money a little quicker. So giving you a better overall agility will give you the opportunity, the elasticity to adjust to the fluctuation of the market, have a better chain of custody, have better PODs, or basic proof of delivery, scale up when the demand increases, modify and flex your workflow very easily because it's something that we can do, and deliver more and be more efficient. So we deal with Purelator every day. So Purelator is one of our clients. So Purelator has approximately 6,600 drivers on the road daily. They want to make sure that when they make a decision, that decision is made with the correct information, the right information. What ShipTrack does well is not only optimize, sequence, and manage exception, but it will also make sure that you have 360 visibility about what's going on at every level with your business. It could be on the local terminal level, it could be regional level, it could be national level. You can really have that visibility through your business, all of the level of your companies, right? So that's really important because we want to make sure that when you're taking the decision, it's done with actual and factual data. So the more data you have, the better the decision, obviously. So this is what you see on the screen right now is an example of one of the tool that is in ShipTrack, which is basically the report page. But not only do you have the report page, you also have the dashboard giving you up-to-the-minute information regarding what's going on in your organization for you to make better decisions. So this is just an example. Obviously, this is not a real environment, but it basically gives you an idea of what you could see as up-to-the-minute information there, which brings us back to what the equation that ShipTrack and POSDATA is proposing. So giving you basically the tool to do better planning by doing route optimization, by doing sequencing of the job, and obviously if you're able to plan better, then you're going to be able to execute a little better. But when you have exceptions, then you want to be able to manage those on-road exceptions and management. You want to be able to manage your drivers quickly and efficiently. We want to make sure that we give you more agility, more flexibility of their routes and your pickups and your delivery, giving you more elasticity over your demands, and leveraging your fleet for quicker deliveries and doing more deliveries per driver. All in all, significantly improving basically your efficiency. So taking bringing us back basically to our equation, which is basically planning plus execution will bring you better efficiency. Now, we do have time for a Q&A, so I don't know if there was any questions.
Thank you, Greg Alex and Mike. We do have time for questions, like they said. So if you have any questions, please feel free to enter those into the questions box on your right, and we will read them off and get those answered for you.
Well, Alex, you do have this flexibility for the courier themselves or the owner of the company, whoever's at this console, to pretty much see where the package is and also the higher level statistics. But what about your client? Like, let's say you're delivering for Amazon or even their customer. Do you share visibility with those so they can see where their package is, or where their deliveries are?
Absolutely. So the customer will have visibility also with a simple tracking number. So that is provided to them. So basically by going on the tracking page, they can enter their tracking number and they would have an update of where their parcel is at. And obviously, as I said a little earlier on, most of the customers don't want to know where their parcel is at, but when they're going to receive it. So we do include an ETA in there also. And you can also see all of the updates that have been taking place directly on a map that is attached also to the tracking page.
Good.
It looks like you must have both done just such a great job that we don't have any questions for you today. Just means it was a great presentation. Again, I'd like to thank you all for joining us. I'd also like to thank Alex and Mike for presenting for us. As a reminder, the recording will be emailed to you tomorrow afternoon, so be sure to listen again and share with your colleagues. We hope that you all have a great day, and that if you have any questions, you reach out to our great presenters with any follow-up questions. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.